bin ein Violino.
Never in the field of human.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Hello and welcome to A Word in Your Era, better known as That Show with Those People in It. It's a game where three legendary characters compete for immortality and justify their place as a GCSE history question. My name is Rory McGrath, otherwise known as That Geezer Off That Thing. And here with the details of our first guest is Somebody's Voice.
Well, geezer off that thing, our first guest knew he'd be here today over 400 years ago. A self-proclaimed prophet and part-time psychic, his famous predictions have warned humanity about floods, earthquakes and political turmoil. He's a cult figure. He's an occult figure. He predicted the end of the world in 3797 AD, so you've only got 18 centuries of home and away left to go. Ladies and gentlemen, a man who knows what you're thinking, so shame on you. Welcome, Nostradamus!
Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera.
Very good to see you. So, you excited to be on the show, then?
No, not really, because I know who's going to win. And it's not me.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks for spoiling everyone's fun. You sit down there, we'll come back to you when you've got something useful to contribute, like tomorrow's racing results. So, disembodied voice, who's contestant number 2?
Our next contestant tonight is a girl who can't say no, especially when it comes to looting, killing and cross-dressing. Born a bastard in 1690, she went on to become one of the most successful women pirates in history. And there were only 2, and they both dressed as men. Her hobbies include travel, water sports and spiking your liver on her sword. Ladies and gentlemen, she walks like a man, but she feels like a woman. Please welcome the lass with the cutlass. It's Mary Reid!
Mary Reid. No relation to Mike, are you?
Hold your tongue, you scurvy small beard, before I shiver your timbers, splice your main brace, and whittle your rullocks.
Thank you, I look forward to that. And finally, good night. But first, our last contestant.
Well, our last contestant has been loving him and leaving him since he was born in Venice in 1725. The original Italian stallion, the sexual escapades that made his name famous stretched long and hard from one end of Europe to the other. Besides his natural knack for fun in the sack, he also had a turn as a violinist, a gambler and a clergyman, giving new meaning to the term missionary position. Ladies, long before there was an American gigolo, there was a Venetian love machine. Please welcome the greatest lover in history, Dr. Kiss Kiss himself. It can only be Casanova!
All right.
Good to see you.
Yeah, it's nice to be here. No, I'm glad I'm on the show because it's going to give me a chance to dispel that myth that I'm just sort of some womanising, leching bloke with no morals. Oh, look at the jugs on that.
Would you just like to sit down over there and park down? Ladies and gentlemen, our three contestants. So let's start off with round 7, which this week we'll call round 1. A chance for each of our guests to plead their case to our jury here in the studio. Who wants to kick us off? Apart from BBC Two, that is. Nostradamus.
Good evening. In fact, it's going to be a very good evening, especially for you. Yeah, and although you think the person sitting next to you won't, I can assure you. I can assure you that they will. It was never easy having powers like mine. No. See, when I was born, the whole of my life flashed before my eyes. Yeah. No, I remember once, you know, my childhood was predictable. Yeah. I remember once my mother came up to me and she said, you got that faraway look in your eye, Nostro. What's wrong? I said, Mum, I've seen things that make your hair curl. Carmen rollers, they were called, in fact. Yeah, Christmas was never any fun either, no. There were never any surprises for me, you see, no. I remember once Dad came up to me and he said, Happy New Year, Nostro, and I looked at him and I said, thanks, Dad, and happy 6 months, 3 weeks and 2 days to you and all. No, you see, I used to disguise my predictions like this. I used to say, when the white horse sees the crescent moon, then shall the third house of the fourth quadrant fall to the serpent. Yeah. Now that, I mean, quite clearly, is about the Gulf War. Or is it EastEnders? But I'm a professional, you know. I mean, you can't sell books if your predictions are going to go wrong, or doing a Michael Fish, as we call it. Yeah. I mean, that's why my books still sell today. I mean, 400 years after the event. I mean, there's not many writers with that sort of longevity, is there? No. Well, there's me, of course. Well, you know, I've told you about me. And Shakespeare, yeah. And Barbara Cartland, yeah. Oh, she's a woman, isn't she, eh? Isn't she? No, I used to rub shoulders with the royal knobs, yeah. And they were big. Yeah. On astrology days. Yeah. Well, I think they liked me because I was so accurate, you see. I mean, I correctly predicted the French Revolution, the Russian Revolution, World Wars I, II, and... good luck. I correctly named Napoleon, Franco, and, of course, Hitler. I knew where I was 400 years before Kennedy was shot. Ladies and gentlemen, I am, quite simply, Nostradamus, the biggest prophet since British telecoms.
Thank you, Nostradamus. And now, Lady Buccaneer, Mary Read.
Draw near and lend an ear to the true tale of Mary Read. I was born in 1690, and I was a bastard. I was also illegitimate, and, well, in those days it was a fearful stigma. Why, I had to admit to being born out of wedlock in 1690. Well, it was like admitting that you're a big fan of Keith Harrison Orville. Shiver me timbers. No, it wasn't as bad as all that. But my mother bore the scar of me being a bastard, so that when her son, who was legitimate, died of a plague fever, my mother, the cunning doxy, dressed me as a boy to pretend that I was my own dead half-brother. So eat your heart out, Esther Renson, says I. Oh, they were hard times trying to be a boy. Well, I had to learn to play conkers, and to fist fight, and to wee standing up. I took my first job, and... well, I should have been a chambermaid, getting teased and fondled by some rampant aristocrat. But instead I became a footman, and I got teased and fondled by some rampant aristocrat. And but then I decided to join the Navy. I became a sailor on a Dutch ship, HMS Vanderbalk. And we were attacked by English pirates. Well, goodness knows why. Because all we had on board were 4,000 Dutch Edems and a cap. And, well, then I was taken hostage. Right, they said, you can come and join us and become a pirate. Or you can walk the plank, as they used to call it. Well, doing a Maxwell after another failure. I was a woman in a man's world and proud of it. So salute the skull and crossbones and go hang!
Thank you, Mary Read. And Casanova, would you take the stand, please, if you haven't already got one?
Nice one, Rory. Right, lock the doors. Who's first? Now, you all know who I am, right? And if you don't, you will do before the night's out. I'm Casanova. Jacobo to me friends. Donkey to my very close friend. No, I'm humouring you. But I don't either think, you know, that my whole life was just sex. I did do other things. I played the violin. Good with my fingers, you see. Learnt Greek. Wrote poetry. The bulk of it was shagging. That's what I'm good at. You know, that's what I do. You know, but with me, you get it upstairs as well as downstairs. I was very intelligent at school. Oh, aye. I was invited to live with my teacher, Dr. Ghazi. Oh, we discussed music, philosophy, European culture, the legacy of the Renaissance. And then I shagged his daughter. On the sofa. He wasn't pleased. He said, that's my best sofa. No. He said, the trouble with you is you think with your pecker. I said, it's better than having sex with your head. I know, I've tried. No, but I nearly became a priest. I gave cracking sermons. Oh, they were lapping it up. He knows what I'm talking about. Good with the chat, you see. You've got to be, you know. You can't just say, hey, darling, do you fancy a bit? You know. Although I normally ask just to make sure. I left the priesthood because as soon as I got an eyeful of the talent back in Venice, I was back on the job. Yeah, you know, a leopard never changes his spots. Which reminds me, I must get some cream for mine. No, seriously, my trouble is I seduce women the opposite way to most people. I shag them, then I chat them up. You know. Breaks the ice, believe me. But come on, ladies, I'm Casanova, I'm the governor, my name stands for something. What do you want? Casanova or Christopher Quentin? A Rolls Royce or a maroon Austin Enreg Maxi with a broken brake light that broke in 1976. Hey, I've seen everything, I've done everything, let's be frank, I've shagged everything. Enjoy yourselves, don't let the bastards grind you down. I'm Casanova.
So, round two then. This is where we show our guests some film clips and ask them to tell us what's going on. So, you'd like to kick off, please, Mary Reid?
Now, right. I remember this. We came back from the Spanish Main, and we're coming here through customs in Plymouth there. We were loaded with treasure chests, and I've got a feeling that we smuggled them in and we hid them inside that Boy Scout. Oh, now I remember this. Well, it was a bit of a scare, actually, because we were being chased by the Coast Guards. I've never rode so fast in my life. Worn out after that. Oh, that's me. There I am. Wow. Yes. Oh, and that's me in my orange pants. And I'd just come back from 3 months in the Caribbean. Oh, there's Polly. And there's another Polly. And, there's another Polly. Oh, well, they're having some Polly filler. Oh, there's another lady pirate, Anne Bonny. Oh, and I think this is us. We've just come back from a round-the-world trip. We'd been out looting in the Pacific for about 4 years. We only got a tin plate, I seem to remember. Oh, and on the back of that it says, hello from Hawaii, on the back there.
Thank you, Mary. Casanova, what do you make of this lot?
That's Wazza the boy, yeah. He's a promising amateur, yeah. Oh, that was a crazy party we had one night. Can't remember what happened, which is just as well, I think. Yeah, another promising amateur there. Good lad. I wanted to... Oh, right. This is... well, it's safe sex, isn't it? Yeah, very safe sex. That's a queue of women coming for the maintenance payments. Oh, right. Well, this is the top of my flat that's... it's hanging out to dry. It's got a bit of a rip in it, actually. That explains a lot.
Thank you, Casanova. Now, Nostradamus, we're going to do something slightly different for you. Can you tell us who this lot is, please?
That's Postman Pat. That's the bloke with the cat who's on the telly. That's the man with the evil scheme for world domination. That's the bloke with a beard who gets everywhere. Airy and it comes down the chimneys. Oh,
that's a horrible, creepy thing. That's a lemon. That's a large fruit. That's a bloke noted for wearing horrible jumpers. And next one is that man off that thing.
Very good. Correct. Well, at the end of that round, I see that Casanova has 2, Nostradamus has 2, and Mary Read hasn't got any. And we'll come to the scores a bit later on. And now, round 3, which we call round 3 to avoid confusion. And in round 3 to avoid confusion, the members of our studio audience get the unique, once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to ask their own questions of our guests. So, who's got the first question? The guy there with the lacy underpants.
Casanova, are you a sexist?
Am I sexist? I'm a new man. I am a radical feminist. You know, I think you've got to be these days if you want to get your end away.
Sorry. Nostradamus, when is the world going to end?
Well, you're remarkably cheerful about that, if I may say so. I know exactly when the world is going to end, and if you want to know, then you'll have to buy my book. It's called Nozza's Back. It's available in paperback from all reputable bookshops and reasonably priced, actually, at $26.99. But may I suggest that you go out and buy it before October 28th, 1992. I think I've said enough on the subject.
Thank you. Next question.
Mary, how did your shipmates find out you were a woman?
Well, it's a bit of an embarrassing anecdote, to be perfectly honest. I was out on the deck and inadvertently exposed my breasts, and before you knew it, the deck was full of semen.
Casanova, do you practice safe sex?
I practice a lot of things, love. But, no, I wanted to get some things cleared up, and when those things had cleared up... Now, I used to use, believe it or not, a pig's bladder. And I can tell you the pig wasn't too chuffed.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Anybody else? Sumo wrestler?
Nostradamus, can you make a prediction for us now?
Yeah, all right, yeah. I'll tell you, within the next lunar month, Essex will be under 10 feet of water. Yeah, but it's not all good news.
Thank you very much indeed.
Casanova, have you ever had a sexual relationship with a man?
Me, Casanova, ever done it with a bloke? Yeah, once. One time ago, I was very confused. Been drinking, you know.
Right, thank you. Right, so you'll be interested to learn that during that round I finished a letter to my mother. She's just celebrated her 80th birthday. Odd thing for a 52-year-old to do, but that's not a problem for you. And on to the mystery object round. I'll be showing our contestants an artefact which one of them should recognise as it comes from their era. So, Nostradamus, you go first. Tell us what you make of that.
Oh, yes. Yes, this is a horse's gaiter from the 16th century royal processions. And now what you would do, you'd attach this to the horse's hoof with a chain, or if you wanted the procession to kind of move a bit quicker, you'd nail it to the hoof itself. And they don't half shift, I can tell you when you've done that. Yeah, that's what it is. It's a horse's gaiter.
OK, Mary,
Yeah.
what do you reckon?
Oh, obvious. Well, it's a lovely fashion accessory for one thing. Earring, a nose cone. No, it's a courgette, which isn't actually, you know, one of those hardy winter vegetables. It's actually worn by a member of the Navy, an officer, when he's on duty, and he has it on when he's on duty and off when he's off duty. Seems an obvious link for you, really.
Yeah. I'll show you a hardy winter vegetable. Yeah. Now, this was worn by the French aristocracy over the beards. so that they could sip soup and beer properly, because it was very unseemly for them to be seen with a wet beard, although with me it's an occupational hazard. Because they do a lot of kissing. Right, so, yeah, so that's what it is, you see. Goes over there.
OK, thank you very much. Well, two of them were fibbing, one of them was telling the truth. Let's see what our studio audience think is the right answer. Who thinks it was what Nostradamus said? He said it was a horse's gaiter. Any hands up? Anyone who thinks that's the right answer? Well, quite a few. Mary Read said it was a fashion accessory for officers on duty. Yes, that's quite. And finally, it's a moustache cover for people who do a lot of kissing, as he calls it. Well, they all go with you, Cassie.
Nothing new.
Well, in fact, it was Mary Read was the correct answer. It was a fashion accessory for officers on duty. Well done. Incidentally, if you've just joined us, Sweden are in the yellow shirts playing from left to right on your screen. Which brings us to the quick-fire general knowledge round. We've armed our guests' buzzers with appropriate noises. So if you'd like to pick up your buzzers and give us a test press, let's start with you, Nostradamus. What's your... Mary Read, press your button. And finally, Casanova.
Yes!
So first question, fingers on buzzers. What is a powder monkey? Nozza.
It's a small ape with a cocaine problem.
Casanova, have you got anything to add?
Yes!
I just like hearing that sound.
A powder monkey is a person on a ship who's responsible for the cannonballs and the gunpowder. What did George I offer Mary Read? Mary?
His virginity. And 200 guineas if I take it slowly.
Yes! You took your time.
250?
He offered her an amnesty if she gave up piracy. Which is the odd one out? Bettini Gozzi, Mimi von Groot, Madame Zanetta, or Ishmael the Servant Boy?
Yes!
Casanova.
Madame Zanetta, the only one that I didn't have.
And why was that?
Because she's my mother.
Ah. What did Gabriello Fallopio invent in...
I know this, it's the tampon.
You're so close. So close.
Rubber Johnny. Could have done with him about and all, you know.
It says condom here, but, you know, you're on first name terms with them, so... who escaped from the Leeds?
George Cole, because he's fed up... he's fed up doing them adverts.
Good answer. 120 points for you. Anyone else, Casanova?
Yes!
I did. It was a prison. But I escaped.
Correct. Who said, "My lord, we plead our bellies"? Mary.
The gentleman in the audience who was a member of the sumo wrestling team.
No, it was you, in fact, Mary, because you were threatened with hanging and you got let off because you claimed to be pregnant. Which 70s supergroup were Rick Wakeman and John Anderson members of?
Yes!
That is correct. Right, next question. Nostra?
Gooseberry, a raspberry, and a kangaroo.
Correct. The question was, can you name two soft fruits and an Australian marsupial? Well, that certainly deserved, if not a big hand, at least a couple of fingers. And now the last round. Oh, no, we've just had the last round. This must be the next one. OK, next round. And for their big finish, each of our guests will sum up their claim to immortality and throw themselves on the dubious mercy of our jury here in the studio. After each short speech, our audience will register their approval or not with applause and screams and internal bodily noises, all measured on our very own famometer here, which you can see is clearly graduated from the heights of immortality to the lotes of Giles Brandreth, I think it is. Yeah. So, Nostradamus,
Well, I mean, as I said at the top of the show, you know, I mean, there's no point in going on with this, really, because I know who's going to win. It isn't me. But anyway, if you do vote for me, then I can promise you that within 6 months of leaving the studio, that you will become multimillionaires. That's for definite. For those who don't vote for me, just remember, your future is my business. I'm watching.
Oh. Well, famous. Mary Read, you next.
Right, Nostradamus. Never heard such a load of old crystal balls. And as for Mr. Nobby Pants here, Mr. My dead parrot's got more sex appeal. So, vote for me. I was that early suffragette in the high seas. So burn those bras, throw away your razors. Start clapping now if you want to live to watch another Captain Pugwash episode ever again. Woo!
Now, Casanova, you last. Please be upstanding.
Now, you know who to vote for, eh, girls, eh? I mean, come on, eh? You've got to go for the only man who makes the Chippendales look like John Selwyn Gummer. The man whose address book is the size of Central London phone directory. The man who put the knob into nobility. The one, the only, your main man, Casanova. Come on.
Thank you. So, according to your vote, our winner without a shadow of a doubt is Casanova, to whom we award instant immortality in the shape of having a salad named after him. Woo! Joining the elite ranks of Caesar, Waldorf and tomato and onion. The losers get our commiserations and a consolation prize. Nostradamus, you get a signed photograph of Russell Grant to deface at your leisure. I'll give you a broad-line marker for that. And Mary Read, you get a new swash to buckle in the privacy of your own home. So it just remains for me to thank Steve Steen as Nostradamus, Helen Atkinson Wood as Mary Read, and Steve Coogan as Casanova. Finally, I'd just like to ask Nostradamus to predict what I'm going to say next.
Yes, well, you're going to say, that's all from A Word in Your Era, so till next week, this is me, Rory McGrath, saying good night, good night.
No, you're wrong, actually. I was going to say, I can't stand Sheffield United's away strip. Good night.
Восстановление разрушенного войной народного хозяйства. Но уголь нам нужен был сегодня. И уголь пошел.